So welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing the MacBook Pro. This is the non-Retina MacBook Pro. It's the 15-inch version, but it's the updated 2012 model with the Ivy Bridge processor and the new Nvidia 650M graphics. So I'm also going to be reviewing Mountain Lion as part of this because I've just got this installed. I'm not going to be going into detail about Mountain Lion, but just sort of going over how it runs on this MacBook Pro. So I'm not going to talk too much about the design of this MacBook Pro because it is exactly the same as the last generation MacBook Pro. They've just updated the internals with this new 2012 release. So I'm sure a lot of you will have already seen this design before. It's all made of aluminium and it looks very similar to the new Retina MacBook Pro, although it's a bit chunkier because it has to accommodate for things like the disk drive and of course the standard hard drive, which are much thicker. But again, it's still a very modern design and looks very elegant on any desk in any room. So yeah, no complaints about the actual look of the device. There are a few key elements about the design which I actually really love, such as the MagSafe power adapter here, along with the battery indicator on the side, which allows you to see the battery level even when the device is off. So the ports are exactly the same as the previous model, with the exception of the USB ports, which have now been upgraded to USB 3.0, which is faster than the previous version which had USB 2.0. So going from left to right, we have the MagSafe power adapter, the Ethernet adapter, the Firewire port, the Thunderbolt port, the two USB 3.0 ports, the SD card slot, and your headphone and microphone jacks. And of course it still has the backlit chiclet keys, which I can honestly say is the best keyboard that I've used on a laptop to date. So the model I have here is the baseline MacBook Pro. It's the quad-core i7 2.3 GHz along with 4 GB of 1600 MHz RAM. So I'm going to run Geekbench now to give you an indication of the performance of this Mac. I should also mention that I'm only running the 32-bit benchmark, but I will also use the results and compare it to all the other Macs running the same 32-bit benchmark, so it will give you an indication of where it places against other Macs on the market still. So as you can see, the MacBook got a pretty respectable score. So if we compare that to some other Macs that are still on the market today, we can see that it places in between a 27-inch iMac, the 2011 model, and a 17-inch late 2011 MacBook Pro. So yeah, in terms of performance, it's still a very, very solid performer, considering this is the baseline model. And again, I must just stress that this was the 32-bit benchmark, so you will see better results with a 64-bit benchmark. So I also ran a disk speed test, and you can see that the average read and write speeds are nowhere near SSD standard, but I still found that the operating system was very fluid. Mountain Lion seems to run a lot faster, a little bit faster than Lion did, and everything kind of seems very fluid, and even the boot up times are fairly quick, even considering that it doesn't have an SSD in the system. So I'm not a huge fan of testing system performance with benchmarks. I'd rather actually do something on the system that I'm going to do with it. So I actually ran Photoshop and I was editing a few RAW files, which I actually used in this video. So these are pretty high resolution RAW files from an SLR camera, so they're pretty big in file size, but they open very quickly and I was able to edit them without any lagging or things like that. So I am running Photoshop CS6 on this system. It's the latest version, so obviously it's a bit more optimized for things like 64-bit processors. But as I said, it runs very fast and compressing the files and things was very quick, and I have no complaints about the system performance. So this model has the 1440 by 900 display, so obviously it's not Retina standard, but it's still a perfectly usable resolution for everyday stuff. And I also found that the colour accuracy is pretty decent on this monitor, so very good for doing video work and photo editing. So the only complaint I have about the display is the viewing angles. They're not brilliant, and I found myself adjusting the display quite a lot so I could actually clearly see what was on the screen. So I wanted to give a special mention to the trackpad. I really do love using this trackpad. It's very easy to use. And I actually found myself using the trackpad quite often, and the only time I felt the need to use a mouse was when I was doing some precision work such as photo editing or video editing. So yeah, also it supports the multi-touch gestures, which are compatible with Lion and Mountain Lion, and they're really great. It's really responsive on this trackpad and it makes getting around the operating system that much more fluid and quicker. There's quite a lot of different gestures to do on this Mac, which once you get used to them, it's actually quite easy to remember them and get around the operating system. But of course, all these gestures can be completely customized in these settings. So one new addition to Mountain Lion is the notification center, and you swipe from the right of the trackpad inwards to open this up. So this shows alerts and banners for various things such as mail and Twitter. It functions very well and it's a very welcome addition to the operating system. So overall, I think this MacBook is a really solid performer. However, I would really recommend spending a little bit more on the new Retina MacBook Pro. It's about £300 more here in the UK, and for that you get faster flash storage, you get more RAM, and you also get a graphics card which has a bit more video memory on it. That's not to say that this MacBook is a bad choice if you're on a tight budget. Of course, this is fully upgradable. You can go ahead and stick a solid state drive in there if you want and upgrade the RAM at a later date. So if you want to save a bit of money now when SSDs become cheaper in the future, this could be a very good option to do. You can also go ahead and hook it up to an external display, so if you don't want to shell out a bit more and you're not too bothered about the Retina display, and maybe you have an external display at home, you can go ahead and hook this up just by buying a simple cable. So I have absolutely no problems recommending this to someone who's looking for a portable Mac machine. So thanks for watching guys, don't forget to hit the like button and please subscribe for more.